two. Envy's better than you.
Race 2 is underway. Here comes the 7 up on the outside. Rep the lead now. The Q showing some speed. There's the number 2 takes over.
The racetrack sits just out of view from the busy I-95 freeway overpass and a stone's throw from downtown Bridgeport. Since the mid-1990s, the Shoreline Star Greyhound Park was once a destination for greyhound racing. It was one of only 2 tracks in Connecticut. The other was in Plainville. Since live racing was stopped there in 2005, now only overgrown weeds surround the track and crows meander the inner circle, with nothing to fear from the once competitive dogs that would speed past. The scoreboard, now in its dilapidated state, was once lit up with racing finishes, long since a faded memory. Kennels that used to house the hounds now sit empty and unused. Evidence of the once thriving track lay strewn about in rooms large and small, boxes of caps, t-shirts, and other merchandise. Carlos, a former employee who worked at the track for years, shows me around the eerily quiet facility. Even after the racing ceased, off-track betting continued in the main building. Then the COVID-19 pandemic put an end to that too. We look at dozens of photos he salvaged from an upstairs room. He can't bear the thought of them being thrown out. Carlos told me of all the positions he worked at the track since it opened. He even shows me the control panel he used to operate the mechanical lure used to get the dogs to run at speeds up to 45 miles per hour. So you used to run this?
I used to run this. Be going around the track, the dogs be going after it.
Oh my gosh. Greyhound racing has been around in the U.S. since 1920 and tracks dotted cities around the country. According to a story in the Florida Times-Union, there were 17 tracks operating in the U.S. as of 2017. In 2023, that number has quickly shrunk to only 2 tracks in West Virginia that provide live racing. Florida, which had the most operating tracks in the country, ceased all live racing at the end of 2020. With only 2 tracks left operating, breeders still provide greyhounds for racing. But since demand has decreased, dogs are still having litters. If more puppies are born than needed for the racing industry, what happens to the ones that don't go on to a career in racing?
It's our annual gathering, so we hold it every year, basically to raise funds and awareness, but just to kind of get everybody together, some vendors, just kind of a little party. I'm Nicole Stango. I'm the foster coordinator for WAG. Well, the puppies will always be there, just the retired racers won't be. So they're going to breed a lot of puppies to be pets or to breed and show and conformation for AKC. A lot of people do like fast cats and dock diving with their dogs, so there'll be a lot of that happening. But as for breeders, there's a lot of pet breeders now. A lot of the racing industry people have gone to breeding pets instead of racers.
We can't deny that it is getting harder to get the retired racers. I think the future of WAG without racing will be a lot more sight hounds. Like we just did some lurcher adoptions not too long ago, and the Irish hounds.
One breeder, Shelley Rangel, who operates a farm in Abilene, Kansas, provides some of the puppies for purchase as pets to potential families around the country. Some do still grow up learning how to race and get sent to the tracks still operating.
Personally, though, I have a hound who is hopefully going to be a racer on Shelby's farm as well. And he should end up at Wheeling. So I expect to have some sort of personal connection to the track pretty soon.
So how did my wife Sandy and I become the owners of an 8-week-old puppy greyhound in October of 2021? We were urged to get on a list to get a puppy from Shelby's farm by our vet tech, who had previously bought a puppy through her farm. Kaylee Parks, who works as a vet tech at Shakespeare Veterinary Hospital in Stratford, was able to get a puppy there several years earlier, but unfortunately the puppy was born blind. In fact, our vet, Dr. Thomas Milos, who has been in the business for more than 40 years, said he had never seen a puppy greyhound at his practice until Kaylee's pup. It was difficult, if not impossible, to get a greyhound puppy as a pet because the vast majority ended up going straight to racing. A vet in Georgia who is featured on the National Geographic Wild show Critter Fixers Country Vets called a greyhound pup he saw the unicorn of the dog world because of its rarity as a pet. The few that did become pets were usually afflicted with any number of disabilities, making it all but impossible to race. For many years, any greyhounds that did become available for adoption were due to the dog washing out of race training.
So we have a 6-month-old puppy, and we have 2 girls that are about 1.5 years, as well as Gus here. He is also 1.5 years. He is a racing dropout. Go to the track, and he didn't make it.
Well, we're just picking up our monthly haul of dogs, so from Kansas usually.
And his name is?
This is Booze. Booze is about 5 or 6 months old now. Hi, baby boy.
And it's going, all these dogs are going into foster care?
Yeah, they'll go to foster homes and we'll get them ready for adoptive homes. I know, hi Annie, I know, it's okay, Booze.
What's that long ride?
Oh gosh, Boozy!
A career-ending injury, not being a champion racer, or in most cases just retiring from the sport. My wife and I are no strangers when it came to having greyhounds in the home. In 2009, after seeing greyhounds up for adoption from Pups Without Partners of West Haven during a festival in Stratford, we immediately fell in love with their sleek forms and gentle demeanors. That is what started us on our journey into the world of greyhounds. The first step in that journey was to visit Penny Zwart, who runs Pups Without Partners, to see some of the dogs she had available for adoption. Incidentally, Zwart started the adoption program for retired greys at Shoreline Star Racetrack in Bridgeport.
So Pups Without Partners was originally started at the Woodlands in Kansas. It was founded by Jim Gartland, who is currently the president of the NGA. When he relocated to the new Shoreline Star Greyhound Park in Bridgeport, he brought the program with him. I was approached by the track manager, or the track owner's wife actually, and asked if I would be interested in running the program.
After live racing ended in 2006, she continued the adoptions out of her home. The first grey we adopted was Charmin Art, a 5-year-old brindle, who trotted over to me and leaned against my leg as all the others went off into the yard. We renamed him Cooper. My wife didn't want to go because if she did, she said she would have wanted to bring them all home. After Cooper's death in 2014, we couldn't stand not having a greyhound in the house. Luckily, we were able to adopt Ford Fairlane from Pups Without Partners, a beautiful reddish-brown 2-year-old just off the track from Sanford Orlando Kennel Club in Florida. We renamed him Hugo and had him from 2014 until his death in 2021. Again, we needed to have the presence of a greyhound in our lives. But to our dismay, Pups Without Partners didn't have any more greys coming in. Vet Tech Kaylee came to our rescue. She told us to get on a waiting list for a puppy through Shelby's farm in Kansas. Shelby sent us photos of the pups that were still available. Out of the 11 pups, we were able to choose from about 6 left. They had no names, only descriptions like black boy with red collar or brindle girl with yellow collar. But then the day came when the transport arrived, a non-stop journey for the pups with no breaks. The rain poured down the night we were to pick up our fur baby, only a few miles away, in the parking lot of New Haven's IKEA. What a sight! All the pups, as well as several older greys being dropped off, were soaking wet and shivering on that chilly October night. Simon's arrival opened a whole new facet of life with a greyhound. A clean slate, as it were, for us to experience a greyhound's unique attributes, peculiarities, and talents without any trauma or drama from a racing career to complicate things.
I don't think Kaylee likes you very much.
Really?
Yeah, because she got you a puppy. I don't refer people I like to get puppies.
Why?
Because they destroy your house.
Well, she must be Oliver must be destroying her house too.
Well, you know, it all depends.
Because he's a twin.
Yeah, it all depends on if you're home, and I say that with love because.
Well, we're home.
Yeah, you have more time to spend with her.
Yes.
I didn't when I got my first pup. I didn't have time to spend with her. She literally ate the sheetrock in my house.
Oh my God.
Whose fault is that? It's mine. It's my fault.
Yeah.
So when I had the second litter, she was an oopser, but when I had the second litter of racers, I knew what I was up against. They were out in the yard the minute their eyes were open. Yeah. My father would sit out here with them for hours because I didn't want them in the house. And there's reasons for that. Yeah. I mean, they're a muscular dog. Yeah. You know, they can't be cooped up all the time. And, I left Princess in the house and she'd sleep on the back of the sofa, and when she'd get bored, she'd start eating the wall.
Then, to complicate things anyway, we decided there needed to be a second dog in our life.
You know, that's great, you know that.
We felt Simon needed a playmate to help him socialize and burn off his immense energy drive, which was a challenge to deal with over his first year with just us. His new sister would come all the way from Spain. Enter Galgos del Sol.
Hey, ¿qué pasa? There you go. Come on. Where's she going?
Galgo Español, or Spanish Greyhound, is a sighthound like their American counterparts, but are not directly related to them. Galgos are bred for hunting small prey like rabbits through woods and have more endurance and are not quite as fast as the greyhounds bred for track racing. Unfortunately, many breeders discard the dogs after hunting season is over. It was very common just to kill the dogs en masse, but now they are turned loose to live in the wild. Some have serious injuries, others starve, and some rely on the kindness of rural folks to survive. GDS's mission is to rescue as many galgos and podenkas as they can. A podenka is another kind of sighthound used for hunting. Our heartstrings were plucked after learning some of the horrors these dogs have had to endure. We decided to do our part to rescue one. One galgo at GDS we saw, named Pickle Pants, was available for adoption. We applied online and soon found out she was already reserved for a family in Belgium. We were crestfallen but determined to find a galgo to join our family. A search through puppies available led us to a pup named Rizzo. She was one of 8 pups born to a homeless mother that GDS rescued. The mom's name was Sandy, same as my wife. She took that as a good sign. Sandy, who is a diehard Cubs fan, also loves former first baseman Anthony Rizzo, another sign. In no time at all, we were sent an application and then had a phone conversation with Mary Lou Hecht, who runs the American operation of GDS. The date was set, and off we went to Boston's Logan Airport on September 13th, 2022. We arrived a bit late due to a few wrong turns trying to find parking at the airport. Once we entered the concourse, we were greeted with the sounds of barking galgos echoing across the cavernous space. Down the escalator, the dogs came into view at the far end. Crates that carried the dogs on their long journey from Madrid sit like a small encampment in a semicircle. GDS volunteers carefully open each crate, letting one after another out into the open. Eager parents wait on the other side of an erected barrier, craning to get a glimpse of their new fur baby. Each dog required a 3-point harness, 2 leads, and a GPS tracker for their collar, all of which was necessary for their safety as they make their way home. On this trip, 9 dogs were brought over, each with their own European Union passport, medical records, and a new loving family to take them to their forever homes. Even though greyhound racing in the U.S. is fading into history, there is still hope that greyhounds, especially puppies, will find a way into the hearts and homes of families willing to adopt one or more of these outstanding dogs.
Yeah, we got in early. It was not that bumpy. We had a little bit of a hard landing. We were like, sorry, babies. But other than that, it was great.
Our galgo, which we renamed Maisie, was so small and very quiet. But not anymore.